folks. It's Larry the GM. Welcome to the Larry the GM. We're going to talk about the 2023 Texas Longhorn season. This will be my official season predictions. And so, folks, let me make sure I got this on. Right. Well, here we go. So, the Longhorns, as I write every year about a season prediction article, I tend to be a very passionate Longhorn fan. I am the middle generation of three Longhorns. My dad's silver spurs are right there up on the shelf. And my daughter went to UT, and I would almost bet that her daughter or her son may go to UT too, if she has anything to say about it. So here we go. Uh, let's talk about our Longhorns. And every year in the last decade, it's been a little disappointing for us Longhorn fans. But I think this year we may see a difference. So first, let's talk about why. So if you follow the link right here, I have a depth chart that I will keep updated, and you can see the talent on this team. I'm not going to go there today because there's a lot of numbers in there, and they probably won't come across on the video real well. But jump on there, jump on the article, and before I go any further, let me say this. Please like the video. You see it in the crawl. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website. And if you really want to do Larry GM and the content bring out, you want to help us expand that, please join our Patreon group, and there'll be links in almost all the articles and also on the public page to do all that. So here you go, Longhorns. Uh, the question really with the Longhorns is how good can they be this year? I think most people think they're going to be good. The question is really how good. And the truth of it, guys, is it really depends on one player and how well that player does, and that's Quinn Ewers. And so, what I did in this article, and to try to get everybody's um, mind right relative to Quinn Ewers, is I picked out 10 players that had 10 quarterbacks that had quarterback ratings between 150 and 165. Quinn Ewers' quarterback rating, it was 132.6 last year. And the question is, how much better can he be? Well, I think if you look at these 10 players, oh, actually it's 11, it's 10 plus Hudson Card, who also had a quarterback rating between 150 and 165. If you look at those 10 players, I think Quinn Ewers fits in that category pretty well. So let's say we average those players. And you can see the average of those 10 players is what I predict Quinn Ewers could be in 2023. And I give you the betonline.ag stats that are basically in the same ballpark as what that average would be, with the average being a little bit higher in passing yards. So what I'll also say is I think you're going to see some time for Malik Murphy and Arch Manning built in. But I think the numbers here for Quinn are right, and then those numbers will be added to that. So why do I think that? Well, it really comes down to the offense around Quinn Ewers is just spectacular and very special. What do I mean? Well, the Longhorns have what most people consider to be a top two, three, maybe something would say down to five, but in the country, they have a top two or three wide receiver room. The depth and the talent in their wide receiver group is incredible. The Horns have a lot of very talented running backs. That's where they're losing the most, but they have multiple options to throw at the running back situation, including a top recruit in CJ Baxter. So yes, they're unproven, but there's no reason to believe that somebody in that running back room can't step up. The Longhorns have arguably the second best tight end in the country in Jatavian Sanders. And if you're looking for what we were concerned about the most last year at this time was the offensive line, and I would submit to you that Banks may be the best player in the whole team. And that offensive line, I believe, is going to be a strength before this end of this year. I know some people are worried about the interior of the offensive line. I just saw a tweet that said that DJ Campbell is going to be the starting right guard, and I just think that's a sign that the coach Sarkisian is saying that this guy's better than the guy that started most of the games last year. And so I think the offensive line is going to be fine, and I think people are going to be really surprised at how good they are. They have at least 8 offensive linemen that they're willing to play. So do I suspect that that's with that supporting cast that yours can take a big step forward? Yes, I do. And I think the offense is going to be significantly better. And I give you the breakdown of where I think that's going to come. Here's all the offensive players and the my projections for their rushing stats and their receiving stats this year. And you can notice I'm saying that the offense that is going to be very much um, the yards are going to come much more in the passing game than the rushing game, and they're going to lose about 20% yards. And I think that's fair. We're losing a top draft pick in Bijan Robinson, right? And we're losing Roshan Johnson. And so to expect that the running game would be as good is silly. But we're adding AD Mitchell and Jonte Cook to that wide receiver room, and I think that the wide receivers we're gaining. I think we're going to gain more in passing than we lose in rushing. That's the way to say it. So at the end of the day, I have about a 6% increase in total offense, and a similar amount in the actually more like 11 or 12% in the number of touchdowns. So I think the offense is going to be very prolific, guys. And so if you put that together, defensively, I think there's a similar situation brewing. The defense is filled with young talent behind a very, um, in most cases, very seasoned veterans. I think Muhammad and Hill and even LaFau could be starting, if not by Alabama, really soon after that. And so the two deep of this team is going to be filled with a lot of these recruits that they've brought, and that dynamic that's already been in place throughout training camp is pushing the veterans to be better, and we've gotten multiple reports about that. So I think the defense is going to be better. I think the offense is going to be better, and you got top recruits pushing their way. That the talent of those recruits as a starting point is greater than the veterans that are on the team, and that together makes this team a very, very scary team to the rest of college football. Now, anybody can come and say, well, you're counting on all these things. The coaching is unproven. Like, I believe the Texas coaching staff is one of the best overall staffs in the country. They just all their coordinators and position coaches, they're really good. And I think Steve Sarkisian has not been given a fair shot in understanding where he's been and what the work he's done, including in Washington. So in the past, and what he did for Alabama. So I have confidence in Steve Sarkisian. You can argue that that's unwarranted. We'll see through the year. But at the end of the day, I think the Longhorns are going to be really, really good. And again, it comes down to how good. So let's go through the schedule. And I break down every game in the schedule and where I think this team's going to go. And I even tell you, like, hey, if you go through there, I show you that I think the Texas Longhorns are going to win the Big 12 championship game. I believe they're going to beat Kansas State in that game, and I think they're going to miss out on the postseason on the playoff because I think they're going to finish 10-2. I think they will lose to Alabama in Alabama, and I think they will lose a game somewhere along the way. Now, in my table here, I've shown them losing at TCU. Guys, I don't know if it's going to be TCU. It could be Kansas State. It could be um, Baylor. Any of these. I think it's probably a road game that they lose, but I think that one of the Big 12 games that they will play that they will lose. I think they'll finish the Big 12 9-1. And so Overall, the team will be 10-2 at the end of the regular season. They will win the Big 12 championship game, and that'll make them 11-2, and then they'll lose in the Cotton Bowl to LSU, who I think will be essentially the third best team in the SEC, and then Georgia will go into in the playoff, and Alabama will finish like number 5 and barely miss the playoff. That's my prediction. And let me tell you, for the Larry GM family, if Texas plays LSU in the Cotton Bowl, that will be a very exciting thing for my family because my son went to LSU, I went to Texas, and my daughter went to Texas. You can just imagine what that'll be like in our family, the dynamic there. I have a feeling we'll have to be there on December 29th, which happens to be my daughter's birthday. So we'll have to see about that. So let's see if I think the Longhorns could lose one of those games in the Big 12, but at the end of the year, I think the Texas Longhorns will be 11-3. So the way I think about these things, it's never like, okay, that's a single number, that's a single prediction. To me, it's more of a gradient of potential outcomes. So I give you my distribution of potential outcomes. I don't think this team's going to go 7-5, but the likelihood of that at 2%, 8-4 about 8%. 9-3 is the second most likely result for this team. At 27%. I got 10-2 being 42, and if we want to start dreaming, 11-1 at about 16%, and 12-0, who I know some people are out there saying at about 5%. This team, if they beat Alabama, the sky's the limit. Okay, I I don't think that's going to happen, but let's at least some people out there dreaming. All right, so I think 10-2 is most probable, 9-3 is the second most likely, and then 11-1 is most likely after that. So my question to you, hey, if you want to leave a comment on the video, give me your results, give me your predictions. Let's hook 'em horns. We'll give you more coverage as the season goes on at LarryGM.com. And please like the video again, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to the website, LarryGM.com. And then you'll see the links, and here it is right here for the Patreon group. Please join in the Patreon group. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.